Hey everybody, TJ here. I just got done recording the audio segment to the next episode of Custom Conquest, and I'm ready to just calm down a little bit with my favorite player pals out there, you guys. So today we're going to talk about customizing Amiibo, and that's going to include packs, some of my present projects, my preferences, priorities, pretty much just a lot of P's. But before we get to that, let's cross our T's and dot our J's.
The views and opinions expressed here are ours alone and do not necessarily reflect those of this channel or its affiliates.
And we reserve the right to alter them at any time if it's convenient or because we feel like it. So, take this.
Before I get too far into my own personal preferences, I do want to promote this PAX panel. Man, I just can't get over these P's today. This PAX panel that I had the honor of doing with Josh Brown and then the Nintendo Wire team, as well as Gonda Chris, a very, very prolific Amiibo customizer who you may have heard of. She's made some pretty amazing Amiibo out there. Well, we got to appear at PAX Prime, PAX West, as it's now called, and talk to a great crowd about customizing Amiibo and how this has kind of become a thing. So, and it's kind of a surprising thing, really. And I don't know what makes... People have been customizing figures forever. I've been customizing figures forever. A lot of the customizers who are customizing Amiibo now have been customizing figures forever. But for whatever reason, customizing Amiibo has really struck a chord with the Toys to Life community and even the more broadly speaking, the gaming community at large, which is awesome. It's super cool that people take an interest in this, and I have fun with it. And I'm glad that from my end, I get to share that passion with all of you guys out there. So if you haven't seen that video, I'm gonna put the link up somewhere, probably in the description, and you can click on that and check it out. And it's worth the watch if customizing Amiibo is something that you're interested in. You get some good tips as well as some great discussion regarding this really cool little subculture that has emerged. All right, now that we got that out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about customizing action figures. It's something that I've always been interested in. I've always really liked toys, I guess. I have a very vivid imagination, and as a kid, I liked to act out these little scenes with my toys and make my own little movies. It was something that really sparked my creativity, and it was a way for me to try to, I don't know, I guess engage with my imagination combined with physical objects. And for that reason, toys always really appealed to me. And sometimes you might have this collection of toys that is incomplete because for whatever reason, the toy that you wanted or the character that you wanted doesn't exist. And in those situations, I have made attempts of creating my own. And sometimes that meant just some odd lump of clay that I pretended was what I wanted it to be. But as you spend more time doing anything, you get better at it. And I developed to the point with my abilities as a customizer where I am pretty satisfied with my capabilities and I'm pretty happy with what the final results are. Well, with Custom Conquest the first season, I spent a lot of time dealing with clown cars. And it was because I really wanted to have all of the Koopalings. It satisfied a need that I had for Me v Me, where I'm scanning all these Bowser Jr.'s. I'm having a hard time keeping them straight. And I wanted those Bowser Jr.'s. So the coolest thing to me is that Nintendo created a situation where I can change the exterior of the figure, and then when I scan it into the game, how my figure looks, those Koopalings back there, is how it actually appears in Smash Brothers. And to me, that's super awesome. I've seen some customizers out there who make some truly breathtaking customs, like Pokemon, for example. They look awesome, but when you scan them into the game, they're not always representative of that particular character. And at least for me, I don't have interest in doing that. So when I see a request for like Wolf, that's a pretty common one, at least presently, I don't know any way that I can make the NFC chip become Wolf. So as far as my computer hacking skills are concerned, I have no skills whatsoever. Please don't mistake me. This is not in any way meant to be critical of these amazing artists who are producing unbelievably amazing customs that maybe don't match the NFC chip. But for me personally, I tend to prefer, at least for the projects that I endeavor, that the figure matches in some way the functionality. I want to take a quick second to talk about the inception point of creating a custom for me, where I start from. The first thing is, I generally speaking don't want to create an amiibo that I think that there's a high likelihood that Nintendo themselves is going to make. So a good example of that is for my second season of Custom Conquest, I originally had slated to make a Toon Zelda, and shortly thereafter Nintendo announced that they were going to make a Toon Zelda. So for me, I kind of lose the desire to make it because Nintendo is doing it, so I don't need to customize it anymore. That said, a lot of people have asked me if I would be really disappointed if Nintendo made a series of Koopa Links. I would not. I would be very happy because I know that a lot of people really want them and that it would fill that need for a lot of people. Also, I think it would be pretty interesting if they did make them in their Smash poses, which I would tend to doubt that they're going to. But if they did, I'd be really curious to see how mine measure up to the actual factory produced version. The other thing is, one of the most awesome things about Amiibo is its in-game functionality. People criticize Amiibo for having limited in-game functionality. I'm going to say it right here, right now on the record. There's not a game, in my opinion, that has better Toys to Life functionality than Amiibo. And the reason I say that is because there's no limitation to what it can do. Whereas Skylanders, cool as they are, they function only in a Skylanders capacity, and it's very well defined what that capacity is. Disney Infinity, they only function in the Disney Infinity games, and that's an example of where now we have this amazing line of Disney Infinity figures, and of course they still work in the games that they were designed to work in, but moving forward, they don't do anything. They're cool figures, where with Amiibo, at least presently, there's the promise of a lot of future application. And NX hasn't even released yet, and yet we can already, with confidence, say that these Amiibo figures that we've been collecting are going to have some sort of functionality or application in this brand new, completely mysterious console. And that's intriguing to me. Maybe you scan this figure and all it does is populate a new costume, but sometimes it has an extremely extensive amount of functionality like Smash Brothers. And who knows if we're going to get another game like that. Of course, I would love it if we had some super awesome, deeply developed sandbox style game where you scan in your Amiibo and suddenly that character is there, similar to a Skylanders type title. But I don't know that we ever will, and I don't know that Amiibo need it. They're a way to enhance the video game experience, not to be a barrier of entry to the game. So you don't need them to play, but if you have them, it somehow makes the experience deeper. And the perfect example to that, for that to me, is the Wolf Link Amiibo. And that was announced at E3. I was like, these guys totally got it right. Being able to bring Wolf Link into this game as a companion to help join you on this adventure, that is awesome. And if that's a promise of what's to come with Amiibo, I'm just super excited. Now I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the project that I'm currently working on, and that's the second season of Custom Conquest. I've already announced this in the first episode, which is already released, so if you haven't seen that, I would really appreciate you checking it out and giving it a watch. I'll probably put a link to that somewhere in here too. And it involves nothing but Legend of Zelda inspired Amiibo. To some people this may be disappointing, but I'm a huge Zelda fan, and I'm really excited about Breath of Fire, Breath of the Winds, Breath of the Wild. When it comes out, I'm sure that it's going to consume a huge amount of my life, and I probably won't be doing too much else of my life other than playing that game. So in the meantime, both as a way of building up hype and also as a way of kind of rallying and marshaling my own excitement, I want to really start pouring effort into making some custom Amiibo that are Zelda inspired that I've been wanting to do for a while, and it seems like a good avenue for me to be able to just kind of exercise those demons. Now I want to address a few of the more commonly asked questions, and that's what materials I use. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what materials I use, but before I do, I just want to preface it by saying I am not in any way sponsored by any company. I have no affiliation to any company. These products are purely what I use and not in any way motivated. I have no financial gain or any game whatsoever. I just want to answer your question as straightforward as I possibly can. So when it comes to paint, what have I been using? I've used Citadel a lot in the past. That's the Warhammer paints, but I have not used them on any Amiibo. More recently, I've been using Vallejo Model Color. Comes in these little tubes like this. It's got a little dropper, and a little goes a long way. I like the vibrancy of the colors. It's meant to be able to withstand that kind of frequent use, and Amiibo, hopefully, hopefully you're using your Amiibo. Open those things up and use those Amiibo if you are not. So I handle mine a lot, and it's nice to know that the paint is going to last. I don't seal my paint a lot, but when I do, the sealer that I have been using is one by the name of Mod Podge. The one that I think matches the final finish on an Amiibo the best is the matte. I have also used the gloss. It certainly does have some application, but it's a lot shinier than an Amiibo, your typical Amiibo. So most of the time, I think the matte works just fine. Also, when it comes to sculpting putty, when I'm going to be adding pieces to an Amiibo, I've used Sculpey, and I do like Sculpey, but I don't think Sculpey is best suited to Amiibo, and the reason is because of the handling. Sculpey is not particularly durable. It's not bad, but if it's something that you want to use as a trophy or something to just have on display, that's fine. It's a agreeable enough material to work with, and I do like it for that. You can get maybe a little bit of a solid coat on it with a boil, but you can also bake it. Most Amiibo can hold up to being baked at the temperature that it's required to set Sculpey, so that's not really a problem. But the one that I like the best is Milliput. It's a two-part epoxy. You have two pieces that separately, they stay pretty soft, but when you combine them, it gives you a little bit of time to work. Depending on how large of a piece you're using will determine how long it takes to set. Most of the time, I don't even want to risk it, and I'll just work on it and then move on to something else and then come back to it the next day, and then it's always rock solid. You can make some pretty small pieces, and it'll be pretty solid with this stuff. And so it's what I find myself using when it comes to creating custom Amiibo pieces. But if I'm being completely honest, most of the time I try to use plastic from the figures themselves or from other figures and repurpose it because it's the ultimate in durability. The plastic's not going to break. But if I do have to create something that doesn't already exist in some form or another, then I turn to the Milliput. And then the last thing I want to show you is brushes. People ask a lot about brushes, but really, I think any brush will do as long as it has the kind of head on it that works for what you're trying to paint. For me, I like to have one that's a little bit wider, that has a flat angled edge, and then another one that is really thin, that when you get a little bit of water on it, it can have a very fine tip. So there's nothing special about them. They're just brushes that I picked up from some hobby shop. And the real secret there, as you know, is to thin your paints. That's what's going to take care of that. Then the final thing I want to talk about is just to preview some of the figures that, well, some of them you might have already seen if you've seen Custom Conquest, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek on some of the ones that are coming soon with Custom Conquest Season 2. The first one that I made was this 8-bit Link that is pretty much just the Jack-specific 8-bit Link figure. And I know Nintendo did announce their 8-bit Link, but it's just like the Mario, where it's not a flat version. It's not really 2D. It's like a 3D imagining of what the 2D 8-bit image was, and it looks really cool. And I'm very happy that Nintendo's making it, and I will certainly be very grateful to be able to purchase it and own it and have it. But I also really liked the look of these, and long before Nintendo announced they were going to make theirs, I was pretty certain that I was going to take this Jack-specific one and put it on here. But what I really wanted to do was to make sure that the Zelda base is the same one that's featured on all of the other Zelda figures. At the time, I didn't know that there were going to be those amazing 30th anniversary figures with the 8-bit Link, and then Ocarina of Time Link, and then the Toon Zelda and Toon Link figures, which are so cool, and I'm so glad. And I actually don't think that that's the end of what we're going to see of these Zelda figures. I think there's a few figures that are still yet to come, just like the Mario series had a wave 2. Now, I'm not even sure we've seen the complete wave 1. There might even be more that Nintendo is going to surprise us with, but I think we'll be seeing a lot more, because obviously there's no Ganondorf there, and he's a very prominent character, and we might even get to see some of the other secondary characters. Maybe a young Link is not that far off. That wouldn't terribly surprise me. I wouldn't be that surprised to see a Skull Kid. It's all about timing, and timing is one of those things that sometimes Nintendo really gets it right, and sometimes, yeah, you just gotta wonder what they're thinking. So we'll see. But at the time where I started really thinking about it, there was only one Zelda amiibo released, and then we had also seen the ones that were at E3, which is the Breath of the Wild ones, where you have Archer Link, mounted Link on the horse, and then also that crazy Guardian one that's enormous. And they all sport the same base, which with the royal crest in the center and then the Triforce ring around it. So I wanted to reconstruct that so that I can put it on all of these, and I did that by making a custom vinyl sticker. It is available if people want it. It's a free download. It's, you know what, I'll put that link in the description too, so it's a little easier for you to find if it is something that you're interested in. And then because of my close association with the color gold and Legend of Zelda, you might even actually be able to see, I'm going to show you guys. We've got the original Legend of Zelda cartridge, the sequel, Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, and then Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, which all had the gold treatment as cartridges, as well as a bunch of the 3DSs and other handheld games that came before it. So I, of course, couldn't resist those. To me, gold is Zelda's signature color, even though they're official base is really more of an army green tone. I preferred gold myself, so that's the color that all of my customs are going to be featured in. But of course, if somebody wants to make it that color, I'm sure that they can. So in addition to making the 8-bit Link, I also made the white version, which, as you guys all know from my Jack Specific rant, I think the last time I saw you, was obnoxiously difficult to find. And then the red version, also not that easy to find. And then finally, when I was trying to figure out how these guys were put together, I broke one apart, and to not waste it, I reassembled them and customized them into a Dark Link version, which was fun and interesting to me. And, you know, at least part of me is very happy to have yet another Dark Link joining the battle. In addition to making the figures themselves, I have a lot of fun making the custom box art. I try my best to make them match the style of the box art for the series that they're in, but yet I also like to put my own personal stamp on it because it's fun. And it's not actually attached yet, but you get the idea. And then I wanted to make the front of it in the same style as the official Zelda amiibo. It's just another aspect of the customizing process that I really enjoy. It's a fun thing for me. A lot of people wonder what software I use to do it. I think I've said it publicly before that I think Photoshop would be a more compatible program, but I'm a lot more proficient in Adobe After Effects, so I do it all in Adobe After Effects. Now, I want to show you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of some of the customs that I've been working on, but they haven't appeared on the show yet, so this is your first official look. One of them is inspired by A Link Between Worlds. It's a game that I really liked, and so this one is kind of a little bit of a nod to the image on the official box art where it has the jagged rock wall, but I also really liked another piece of artwork that I saw somewhere where it was, actually I made that one too, where it was a full wall, but it had a bunch of vines on it. So I like the look of the vines. I kind of combined them both to be this version. And then because I wasn't totally sure that the vines was the way to go, I also made another one, sans vines. What really excites me about this custom in particular is I know a lot of the customs on Custom Conquest might be a little bit intimidating and people don't believe that they actually have the ability to do it. But if there was ever one where I am completely confident that anybody can do, it's this one. Because I put a lot of time into creating the assets that I used for this that you can use too. The same ones. You won't have to remake it. I'll send you mine and you can use those so that you can achieve this final product that will look exactly like it. If you're really artistically inclined and you like painting, then by all means, I have every confidence that you can do it. But if you aren't one of those people and you don't believe that you were blessed with much artistic skills, then I got your back, baby. I got you covered. We'll put this one together. We'll put this one together. We'll put this one together. Trust me on that. And then this next one is one that I've wanted to make since I first saw the concept art, and that is the Totem Link. It was such a cool design to me that I knew I needed to have it, and when Nintendo said that there wasn't going to be any Triforce Heroes functionality, I believed them, and so I knew I had to make it for myself. And this one did definitely present quite a few challenges. I don't want to go into too many of the details here because it's kind of involved and specific, but you'll see them in the episode for sure. And then the final thing I want to show you is probably the most requested single custom item that I've had, and that is how I make custom Amiibo cards. So one of the episodes of this season is going to be dedicated to making some Amiibo cards. This is the set that I've prepared for the show, replete with custom back. So I will show you guys in great detail exactly the process that I go through to create these custom Amiibo cards. So hopefully that'll help you guys out when it comes time to create the custom card concepts that you've had. And then before I let you go, one last thing. A few episodes back, we talked a little bit about my time as a gym leader at Toys R Us. Well, one of the perks of the job was I got a lot of the promotional cards that we had. And I did manage to find, as I mentioned, I might be able to, a happy birthday holographic Pikachu. So I want to give this to you guys. If you want the card, I'll pick somebody from the comments. Just somewhere in a comment below, just leave your birthday. You don't have to put the year, just the month and the day, just so that I know you're interested in the card. And I'll pick somebody at random, and I'll get this card sent your way. So thanks for spending your time with me, and hopefully I'll see you guys again real soon. Hey, check out Custom Conquest because I'm super excited about this season, and I really want to share it with you guys. So we'll see you again real soon. Thanks for playing.